Welcome to Missing Persons Archives, a channel dedicated to sharing real stories of those who vanished without a trace. Here, we explore the facts, the timelines, the investigations, and the unanswered questions behind each disappearance. These are more than cases, they are people, and every story deserves to be told. Subscribe and join us as we shine a light on the missing. For most people, getting lost in the woods is a frightening but understandable possibility. Something that happens when we wander too far, stray from the trail, or misread the terrain. But when seasoned hunters, people trained to navigate, survive, and thrive in the wilderness, vanish without a trace, the mystery becomes far deeper and far more unsettling. Today, we bring you real cases of experienced outdoorsmen who entered the wild and were never seen again. First, we will discuss the case of Bart Schleyer, the Yukon Enigma. Bart Schleyer wasn't just a skilled hunter, he was a renowned wildlife biologist. He worked on grizzly bear recovery in Yellowstone and tiger conservation in Siberia. He knew the wild better than most people know their own homes, and in September of 2004, Bart set out alone into the remote Yukon territory, planning a 2-week moose hunt at Reed Lakes. He was dropped off by a float plane, well-stocked with food, gear, and survival equipment. He'd done this kind of trip many times. No one had any reason to worry. But when the plane returned 2 weeks later to pick him up, Bart was gone. At his abandoned camp, meals had been started, but most of his food was untouched. His inflatable boat was found half a mile downstream, abandoned. The RCMP initially theorized that Bart simply hiked out to a nearby highway and would turn up soon, but his friends didn't buy that. They flew in and began their own search. What they found raised red flags. Bart's bear spray, radio, backpack, all critical survival tools were still at camp. Downriver, they found a makeshift hunting seat, and beside it, a bloodied face mask with strands of bloody hair. When the RCMP returned, they found bones, torn clothing, and both wolf and bear tracks. The bone fragments were confirmed to be Bart's, but the evidence didn't make sense. No blood spatter, no sign of struggle. His seat and gear were undisturbed. His clothes weren't torn or bloodied. Even the crates of food were untouched by wildlife. When his skull was finally recovered, it bore no bite marks or trauma. Authorities eventually concluded that he likely died of unknown causes, and the animals arrived later. But his family disputes this. Bart was in perfect health, and the idea of a medical emergency seemed far-fetched. To this day, no one knows how or why Bart Schleyer died, only that the forest took him. The second case we will look into is that of Robert Bugsy, Springfield, vanished in Black Canyon. Robert Springfield, known as Bugsy, was a seasoned hunter, former Marine, and member of the Crow Nation. In September 2004, he went hunting elk with his 2 sons in the Bighorn Mountains of southeastern Montana. They split up to hunt solo, a routine decision among experienced hunters. They agreed on a time and place to regroup, but when his sons returned, Bugsy wasn't there. Hours passed, then a day. Then a full-scale search was launched. Authorities, relatives, and tribal agencies scoured the rugged terrain on foot, horseback, and by helicopter. Not a single trace was found, not even tracks. Bugsy had simply vanished. Then, over a year later, in October 2005, a group of hunters noticed a crow making a commotion above a tree. Beneath it, they found a human skull and a neatly arranged pile of bones. Nearby sat Bugsy's boots, standing straight up, a wallet full of cash, a rolled-up belt, and a jacket with only a single small tear. No signs of violence, no signs of struggle, no sign of his weapon. The FBI later confirmed the remains were Bugsy's, but could offer no cause of death. The scene baffled investigators. His Social Security card and driver's license, returned to the family, were pristine, showing no signs of weathering. The family believes Robert was abducted, killed elsewhere, and then placed there later. But authorities have found no proof of foul play. In 2007, 3 years after he vanished, his cause of death was officially listed as undetermined. To those who knew him, the evidence doesn't add up, and the wilderness has yet to reveal its secrets. Our third and final case is that of David Peltier, lost in Namaji forest. On the opening morning of Minnesota's deer season, November 3, 2018, 59-year-old David Peltier headed out to Namaji State Forest with friends to hunt along the Gandy Dancer Trail. The group split up near a pond. David's role was to flush deer out toward his partner. But David never returned. His friends weren't concerned at first. They thought he'd gone tracking, but by the next morning, with no sign of him, they called 911. The terrain was treacherous. 93,000 acres of bogs, swamps, and dense trees. Searchers on foot and ATVs battled rain, snow, and freezing temperatures. David's children joined the search, knowing how difficult the landscape was. David Jr. said, "It's just one giant bog. You think you're going west, but you're not. It's so easy to get turned around." David didn't have a backpack, lighter, or supplies, just his rifle. His bright orange hunting gear should have made him visible, but nothing was found. His phone pinged until 5:40 a.m. the next morning. At 1:40 p.m. the previous day, he had made 3 calls to his hunting group, all unanswered. Despite a massive multi-agency search effort with over 100 volunteers, no sign of David was ever found. The official search ended on November 9th, but the case remains open. His daughter Katie said, "We know he's there. We just can't find him. He's just there by himself. Nobody would ever want that for somebody they love." Was it hypothermia, disorientation, a sudden accident? No one knows. David Peltier, a healthy, experienced hunter, vanished into the woods, and the forest never gave him back. These men weren't inexperienced hikers or careless tourists. They were trained hunters, survivalists, and still, they disappeared without a trace. No cries for help, no signs of struggle, no final messages, only silence. These are the cases that leave us with more questions than answers. And in the vast, untouched wilderness, perhaps some questions will never be answered. If you have any information, no matter how small, please contact the appropriate authorities. Subscribe to our channel for more true crime content and share these stories. Awareness might be the key to solving even the oldest case. Until next time, stay safe and remember, the missing are never truly gone, as long as we keep looking.